What is happening, YouTube? It's Joe, just your average Joe, hanging out in the garage once again. We got some comments to cover. We got some sales to cover. Got a few things to talk about. Not a whole lot going on today, so this will probably be definitely a shorter video than normal. The hurricane, luckily, didn't really, or tropical storm now, hasn't really done a whole lot. Dumped some rain, light winds, but nothing crazy. So hopefully, you didn't when you weren't if you were in the path, you weren't affected that much either. I know Charleston and South Carolina, Savannah areas were hit pretty hard, but anyway, if you're in North Carolina, I don't think it did too much to anyone in North Carolina, other than maybe limbs and trees being down. But again, hopefully you're doing well, you're safe. That's the most important thing. Um, Outside of some branches and stuff down in our backyard, that's pretty much the only thing we've got that we're working with. We're supposed to get hit with more rains, some heavy rains later on today, because as it's spinning, so it's some of those bands are still we are clear now, but some of those bands are on their way toward us. So we'll get some more rains and maybe light winds, but nothing crazy. So luckily this one wasn't anything really too too bad. So, but at least for us in our area, so that's a good thing. Um, I had a canceled order on eBay this morning. Somebody bought a game. Luckily, it was one of those situations where the mail lady didn't. The mail lady already came yesterday when I put it out, so it was just sitting in our mailbox. And then this morning, the person canceled. It was that Naruto game from yesterday's video. So for 25 bucks, they sent a thing saying they found it cheaper somewhere else, and so they wanted to cancel the order. Luckily, it didn't actually ship out, because then I would have had to eat return shipping on it. So if you don't know, you can actually go into your labels and cancel your label and get a refund. It takes a few days, sometimes a week or two, for you to get your money back through eBay for your label. But you can go into your labels on your selling dashboard and actually get a refund for your label. So that way I'm not really out anything. Luckily, again, it didn't go out yesterday like it should have. Um, but anyway, so I had a canceled order. It is what it is. It happens. It's part of doing business. You just roll with it and keep moving. Just reposted it, and somebody else will end up buying it at some point. So that's really all I got going on as far as eBay is concerned. We'll go over comments. We'll go over sales. Sales have picked up a little bit since I started. I did a promotion last night. Like I mentioned in the video, last night I sat down and got my promotion going, my marketing promo, and then the sales discount. So I activated both of those. Um, I eBay has changed the way it's set up now, so you can pay for clicks, and it tells you can get like 50% more sales, or up to, and then you can pay for like placement of your listings, and that it shows that you can get 30% more sales doing that. That's the old school one that I've always used. It just looks different now. So if you're going through the dashboard, if you haven't done a marketing promo in a while, that dashboard looks different now. You basically go in and there's two options, and then you go from there to add your listings to those options. I've thought about doing the 50% one. You pay per click on that one, which I've never done that one before. So I think what I'm going to do is once this one ends, because I just started it for a month. I did the my normal one, which is you pay to boost your visibility on your ads. Um, that's the one I've always done before, so I just did the same thing again. I usually do 5%, because you can choose the percentage you want, as far as how much percent you want to pay to get boost your stuff. So I did 5%. I think next time, because the layout before was complicated and just I didn't quite understand it. The layout that they updated it now, it's more streamlined and looks simpler. So I think next time I do a marketing promo, I'm going to try the click one and see how that goes. Um, we'll see. But just and then I did a sales discount. I did 15% off all of my items except for like the last, I don't know, 40 or so, 50 items that are the newest items. I didn't do a promo or a discount on those, but everything else in the store I put up as 15% off on everything. So, I'm gonna essentially pay about, or lose about 20, but at this point I would like to get some cash flow and get some sales, and because stuff is just sitting, so I need it out of here. So we did get like 7 sales, which is good compared to the 2 sales the day before for 60 bucks. I think we had a total of, in fact, let me look at it. Had a total of 7 sales for 182.90. So I'm always an advocate of it works. It always works early. When you first do it, it works pretty well, but then it seems to stagger down and not work so well as time goes on. But usually when you first start the promo over the first week or so is usually when you get your first bunch of pops and things like that off stuff. So a lot of the stuff is some of the things are older items and some of the things are newer items. But yeah, sold with 15% discount, 15% discount, sold via promoted listing. So pretty much everything that sold was either through the 15% discount and or the promoted listing option. So, you know, I do lose a little bit more, but again, the margins are so good that even with the 10, 15 for 5% or 15%, or even if it's a dual and it's 20%, I'm still in the green on everything. So at this point, I just need to get more stuff out of here to create more cash flow, because I'll be honest, my cash flow has been terrible. You know, I'm probably not. Luckily, the hurricane is supposed to. Well, we're supposed to have remnants of rain until like Saturday, so I kind of am like, I hope it rains Saturday, just because I'm a sourcing addicted to the sourcing side. I'm finding myself on Facebook Marketplace. In fact, I might do a deal today for $50 on a PS3 with NCAA 14 with it, and for $50, you can't go wrong with it, man. It's the sliding PS3 with the sliding door. Those sell for me very well for about $120 with a group of games, and then the NCAA disc only NCAA 14 on PS3. I just sold one for 30 or $35. So the game alone is almost going to pay for the whole thing, and so the rest of it's gravy. But anyway, I got to stop sourcing because I got so much stuff I got to get through still, and I hope Saturday it rains, to be honest with you, so there's no yard sales, so I don't go out and yard sale, because I really don't have a lot of cash flow to go yard selling right now. I need to get cash flow and to be able to keep the wheel going, obviously. But that's where I'm at. That's what's going on. Let's go over comments, and we'll get to sales. So first comment, Paul Fines says he might take. Paul Fines, I think, is that the first time you commented? Or I think you commented on the last video. Can't remember. I'm bad. I got bad memory. But Paul Fines, appreciate you commenting. He might take broken electronics and buy working ones on eBay to swap them. That's what I'm thinking is going on. Absolutely. You're talking about the VCR guy that I mentioned. Let's see. Replied on newest video. Okay. You're not wrong. I think that's exactly what his MO is, based on the few folks that have left him that feedback on that site. I've never heard of that site before, Buyer Beware or badbuyer.org or whatever it was. So we'll see. I mean, well, I'll know. Y'all will know once if he does try to pull a fast one and say it's not working, because I 100%. Let me make sure my mic's on. Okay, 100% know that thing was working before I sent it. And it was in pretty good condition too, so it shouldn't just stop working. VCRs are pretty durable. I mean, obviously it can get banged around in shipping and possibly not work, but the likelihood of that is slim to none. And honestly, if that does happen and he does claim that, I'm going to be like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, you can hang tight. I'm going to file a claim with the post office if you're saying it doesn't work, because it worked when I sent it, meaning the post office banged it up. So I'm going to file a claim and maybe have the post office, go that route with it and see if I can get money back or get them to pay out a claim on the post office side. If he claims it's not working, and have him just sit and wait, kind of thing. And, or I don't know, or just eat the return. And, again, we'll just cross that road when it gets here, but yeah, Paul, I think you're nailed it on the head. I think he's doing definitely some shady stuff for sure. Average Joe, I would have just ignored that message. Are you talking about the guy he actually never replied back at this point. He's yet to reply. So I don't know what he wants to do. So if you didn't watch the last video, a customer bought something well outside of 30 days saying it wasn't the right size, essentially. And so, I mean, it may have been my fault. He said it's youth, and I listed it as adults. I'm pretty sure it was adult, but sometimes it's a little hard to tell, but anyway, if it was in fact my fault, that's why I kicked the door open a little bit and was like, hey, I'll accept the return even though it's outside of 30 days, but you'll have to eat the shipping back, and I won't be able to refund the original shipping. So he'll get like $23 back if he decides to return it. It'll probably cost him $7, $8, $9 to return it, so he'll get back like, I don't know, $15 when it's said and done. But I'll do a return. I'll give him, do that for him, but he's yet to reply back to me. So, that's the thing, man. Like, as a customer, man, you got to be diligent, and like, when you get something, make sure it's right. And if it's not, in a timely manner, reach out to the seller to let them know there's a problem. I don't mind doing returns. I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is, part of doing business, and sometimes I make mistakes. I'm not going to, it happens. You just roll with the punches and keep moving. But again, I haven't heard back from the guy. So he waited way too long. That's the buyer's fault. You're not, absolutely. I feel the same way. I also had a scammer buy one of my VHSs. He had 23,000 feedbacks. He sent me a picture of VCR eating VHS tapes, and he claimed it was defective and asked if he should open a return. He was fishing for a partial refund. I've had that happen where folks are fishing for refunds. Yep, claiming something. So I've had that happen too. He was fishing for a partial refund or hoping I would just refund him the full amount, and he keeps the working VCR. I said, "Yep, open the return." I typically do the same thing. Just return it, man. I'll eat it, and I'll come. And I've had it happen where I get the return, and luckily they haven't swapped out the item. But I'll get, like, a PS2 is the one that comes off the top of my head right now. I've had this one PS2 guy returned it, and actually, it's happened multiple times with PS2s, and I get it back, I fire it up, it works no problem. I'm like, I don't get it. Anyways, he was fishing for a partial refund, hoping I would just refund him the full amount, and he keeps the VCR. I said, "Yep, open the return." As soon as I sent him the label, he closed the return. The picture he sent me was the same model VCR, but mine had a scratch right next to the power button, and the one in the photo did not. Effing a-hole. Laugh out loud. There is some shady people on eBay, and they know the rule. They know the ins and outs. They know how to get around things. They know how to. I mean, I do too. If I wanted to be scamming people and I was that kind of guy, I could scam people all day. Because let's be real, if I bought something from a buyer, so this is a prime example. If I was to buy something that was super heavy, that cost a ton of money to ship from somebody in California, okay, let's just say, I don't know, Bose speakers, what kind of goes off of my head right now, because I know those things are heavy. So let's just say I bought like a huge Bose speaker from somebody that weighed a ton from somebody in California that gets to me, and I claim that it's broken, damaged, or whatever the case is, even though it's not, right? I would probably say most sellers would just eat it, because it's going to cost them more to have it returned back to them, for them to pay another round of shipping to go all the way back from North Carolina to California. And especially if I claimed it as being damaged, right? Or item not as described, damaged, right? I would say most sellers that are smart would just say, you know what, keep it. Refund you the original shipping, and you can keep the item, and you can make a few dollars on it, kind of thing, or whatever. So, I could be that guy, and I could be doing shady stuff like that, because I know the ins and outs, and I know it's usually not worth it for them to then ship that item back to me, or have me ship that item back to them, and they eat the shipping on it. You know what I mean? So it's and all you have to do is say, like, item not as described, even if it's just was correct, and then automatically they got to do a return and eat it. And so, you could be doing some shady stuff like that. And I'm sure there is lots of people that do stuff. If you know the ins and outs of how the system works, kind of like I do, and I'm sure a lot of you know it as well, you could be a douchebag and do shady stuff like that to customers. Sometimes you'll win some, sometimes you'll lose some, in the respect of, sometimes some of the buyers will just eat it, and sometimes the buyers will just will have you send it back. You know what I mean? Kind of like in that guy's case, and then the guy ended up closing the return because he was like, well, he called your bluff, kind of thing, or you called his bluff. So yeah, it's a shame that folks do that kind of stuff, but it goes back to, you got eBay gives you the platform to get exposure to a lot of stuff, and gives you the convenience of being able to do this from home. So those times, I got to fly in here. So those times that those rare occasions where those things happen, you just kind of just roll with the punch, keep it moving. At least I do. I don't let it sour me and get upset and say, I'm done with eBay. Never selling on eBay again. These people are scammers, and eBay don't do nothing about it, and da 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 da. you can be that guy, and there's a lot of people that are like that, and they find a different way to sell their stuff, and that's fine. To each his own. I just roll with it and keep it moving, because 9 times out of 10, when I do accept them back, I just end up reselling it. Like I can't, like the PS2, for example. I end up just putting it right back out on eBay. It sits for a little bit, and then somebody else buys it. Done. And have I eaten some returns? Yeah, I've. There's some, like it happens. So anyway, just think about it. Walmart's one of the biggest retailers in the world, right? Brick and mortar retail, well, online too. Think about an Amazon. Think about how many bogus returns they get back, or people that buy something and then it breaks, they buy it again and then return the broken one. You know what I mean? And then get their money back and return a broken item, kind of thing. Think about how often. So do you think Walmart and Amazon are like, I'm not doing business anymore? They chalk it up under an expense, or as a well, not an expense, but as a loss, which it helps you on your taxes at the end of the day. And so you just track it. You just make sure you track those things. And at the end of the year, you got $700 of damaged or returns that you had. So that now goes toward your loss for the year, and that then thus means you're going to pay less taxes. Not a ton less taxes unless you have a ton of returns and a ton of stuff. But you get what I'm saying. So Walmart and Amazon don't throw their hands up and say, we got so many bad customers returning all this stuff. It's a write-off at that point. Those things become write-offs. So use it to your advantage. Don't get mad about it. It's part of doing business. Every business has those things happen. So instead of getting sour about it, use it in your advantage, use it as a write-off, and keep it moving. And then if you can resell it, fix it and resell it, then resell it. If you can't, then it's a loss. Write it off. Keep it moving. So anyway, I'm rambling. Y'all know how I am. Justin says, thanks for sharing. I tried promotions for the first time over the last week. I definitely saw an increase in sales and improved. One day I had 9 orders when the average is 2 per day. So I'm an advocate. Some YouTubers don't do the promoted and things like that, or discounts, because they don't want to lose money and blah, blah, blah. Look, it works. It works. I had bad sales and now I had 7. Not to say, and I'm sure those wouldn't have sold if I didn't start the promoted listings. I'll just say that. So, Justin, kudos. I'm glad that worked out for you, man. I'm an advocate of doing the promos and the sales discounts and stuff like that. So, yeah, buddy. C. First time I think Yeah Buddy's commented. Let's see, what is Yeah Buddy. Appreciate you commenting, Yeah Buddy. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you subscribed. Let's reply to your comment here. Joe, when you have a higher valued game, say $40 or more, that has a significant amount of scratches and should require some degree of sanding, your best bet is to spend the $3 and take it to a local game store that has either the Elm, Auto Smart, or the EcoMaster. The EcoMaster is the one I've heard of that are super good. They cost like $10,000 or something crazy like that. It's just straight up worth it for the little bit of money, because those machines will do a much better job, careful job, when you can do a much better job than what you can do with the JFJ. You're 100% right. The problem is, in my area, there is, to my knowledge, and I've looked, there is no stores around my area. The nearest one is Raleigh, and I'm not driving an hour and a half to go up to Raleigh to do it. So you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong. Now I have done this once. There's a company down in Florida. There's a bunch of companies. You can look them up online. But there's a company I did a while back. I want to say like maybe 8 months ago. I had a bunch of GameCube games that's like Zelda and Sunshine, and anyway, a bunch of good GameCube games, and they were scratched to hell. And for some reason, my JFJ, when I've got the GameCube adapter to put on it, but 2 things: one, the bolt is stripped and I can't get it off anymore, so I don't do them anymore. But 2, when I was doing it with the GameCube games, it would start cracking the outside of the disc. I'd get little hairline cracks on the outside of the disc, which it wasn't just like a one time. It was like every disc I was putting in there was hairline cracking. So I just stopped using it for GameCube. So anyway, there was a company I found that I did business with in Florida. They don't have the best reviews, but it worked out for me, and it was like $3 a disc, and I sent them like, I think, 10 discs. And it took them a little while, but I ended up getting them back, and like 7 out of 10 ended up working, and fired up, where the others still wouldn't work. It is worth it. You're right. You're not wrong, and that may be something I also will do. But I would say 90% of the time, if not 95% of the time, that JFJ does a pretty darn good job of getting a lot of those scratches, even heavy scratches, out. Now, I don't do the sanding anymore. I think you go off to talk about the sanding part. I'll get to that in a second, but I don't do the sanding anymore because in my experience with the sanding, it was like 50-50 if it's going to fire up and work. So I was just like, I'm not doing sanding anymore. I'd rather just buff it with the buff pad and get a lot of that stuff out and run it through twice at 2 minutes, and run it through 2 or 3 times. And that a lot of times gets a lot of that stuff off. And then a lot of times the game fires up. Now, I have still had some customers on the back end say, hey, it froze on me, halfway through the game. I ended up giving them a refund. It's very rare, but that has happened here or there on those games. So, obviously I don't play the game through, so I can't confirm that it's going to work all the way through, but it does fire up. It goes to the loading screen. You can get into the game and start the game and things like that. To me, that's working. And if customer says from there it's not working, 2-3 hours into it, then like I said, I'm not going to be a douchebag. I'm just going to, especially, I'll just do the return on it and let them return it and give them their money back, or I'll just refund them. But yeah, in my experience, at least, the sanding part is when it gets a little sketchy. Again, can it work? Does it work? Yeah, like half the time. So I just stopped doing the sanding. And again, I haven't gotten enough discs to do the send out again. Because that's obviously the best way to go is to have like the EcoMaster and pay somebody to do it, because it's usually $3 to $5 a disc, and it's worth it if it's a higher value game. So you're absolutely correct there, Jay Buddy. Let's see what else he says. Unless, of course, it's just deeply scratched and looks like they used it as a frisbee across concrete. I've seen, you know how that goes. If you don't have a shop that has one in your town, save up some of your higher value games, and the next time you're going out of town somewhere, contact the game stores that you're going to ahead of time and see if they have those machines. Get them done while you're there. I use the JFJ and I love it. I feel like I can take pretty much bad looking games and get them very good results with sanding and buffing the way I do it. But still, with the higher value games, I just don't even chance it at this point. You nailed it. You're not wrong, man. In your experience, when you use the sanding, at that point, how often do your games actually work though when you get to the sanding part? Because like I said, for me, typically the sanding is like a 50-50 shot. So I don't really sand much anymore. Not to say I won't sand or try to sand, again, but at this point I rarely do the sanding portion because it just, the buffing works pretty darn well. I mean, a disc that's pretty scratched up, as long as it's not super deep scratches, a disc that's pretty scratched up, it does a pretty good job of getting all that stuff out. And then discs that are just lightly scratched, it does a pretty good job of making them look pretty damn nice again. So yeah, I heard people talk trash about the JFJ. I think it's a pretty good machine. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it's a pretty good machine. I would say if you're in a video game reselling, it's a good investment to get, because you can turn games that won't load or won't read and get them working and reading again, which is the goal, right? And then you make some money on the game that you otherwise would have had to trash. So anyway, appreciate you guys commenting once again. Let's move over to sales and see what's sold. We had 7 items again sell for $182.90. Almost hit goal. Obviously, that's not including shipping costs. But $182.90, not going to be a ton in shipping, which is nice because most of the stuff that sold was games. But let's start off with Apex Legends. Apex Legends, and let's see. Apex Legends. Got it. And then, what was this one? And also, since we're on the discussion of resurfacing discs, what is your like PS3, like the newer DVD discs? So like your PS3, Wii U, PS4, those discs. I don't normally a lot of times they're not bad. So let me start there. A lot of times that the newer DVD style games, they don't scratch as like the older ones do. So I normally don't have a ton of problem with them, and I haven't had to really run any of them through the JFJ because they just don't scratch as bad. Now I have had some that do have some scratches on them, and if I remember reading correctly, I'd probably just look at the instructions again, but I think you're not supposed to run those through this machine, or they have a different buffer, a different pad that you use with them, possibly. I can't remember. I don't normally do those because they're normally 99% of the time they're pretty clean. So I don't run a ton through it. It's always the older, regular, the Xbox 360s, PS2, PS1, Xbox, Wii. Those are the ones that typically GameCube. Although I've had a problem with those cracking, as I mentioned. And if you had a problem with that, also, with it cracking the discs, and it cracks right along the edge, like that outer edge is where the cracks end up. They're just little tiny cracks, but it's like, come on, man. But so I don't really run GameCube much. If I do run a GameCube through it, I just run it on the regular pad and let it run and get some of it. And I only do it for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then I take it off and then I test it out, and that usually works. But I don't change the disc, the metal disc anymore in the JFJ to the GameCube one because I just have a pad that's got the anyway. That's over here nor there, but yeah, so like the newer DVD style games, do you run those? And have you had success in those? And if you do, what do you use? Again, I guess I should look at the instructions again. I can't remember. But anyway, Bakugan sold for $15 free shipping on that one. 15 free shipping, disc only. Apex sold for $12.74 on a promotion. 15% promo. It is sealed, brand new and sealed. Actually, that's brand new and sealed. But anyway, brand new sealed. $12.74 free shipping on that one. Silent Hill Down Hour sold for $50, $51 plus shipping. 51 plus shipping. I've had this box of like the newer style GI Joes for a hot minute, so I'm glad these things are out of here. So it's just a tub full. I bought at the Myrtle Beach like 2 years ago, the Myrtle Beach yard sale convention, which I didn't know they had. I just happened to be there on one of my golf trips. If you've been with me before, I've mentioned I go on golf trips with a bunch of my buddies. I don't golf, but I source while I'm there and then hang out with them. I do golf a little bit now since then, so I'm not going to say I won't play next time we go because I'm able to at least hit the ball now and do decent. I've been practicing in my backyard pretty regularly. But anyway, that's nor here nor there. I picked these up in a huge tub of toys that had all sorts of different toys, and it was like $40 for the whole lot. And I've already made my money probably twice over. This is the last little batch of the newer style GI Joes. And they sold for $24 plus shipping. So there's that, just a huge lot of them. Let's see, Left 4 Dead. It's funny sometimes how things happen. I had a couple offers on this, and then somebody just bought it straight out. So that's $16 plus shipping. Left 4 Dead. That's always a good title to grab. If you're looking for bundles and see that's usually a good seller. Call of Duty, and let's see, Call of Duty and the blue. That's a shame because I'm buying a PS3 today, and the customer said the controller doesn't work on it. I think I might have another one of these though. But a blue Sony controller, wireless for PS3, sold for $17 plus shipping. And then Call of Duty PS4 on a promo. I think I had it up for like $10.99 or something like that. Ended up selling for $9.34, free shipping on this one. So there's that. So that's it. Short video today, 30-ish minutes, not too bad. That's all I got for you guys. Hopefully the sales with the marketing promo, the sales discount, hopefully I continue to see steady sales is the goal, hope at least. But again, hopefully your sales are going well. Appreciate you guys hanging out. That's all I got for y'all today. Just your average Joe. We'll see y'all in the next one. Drop comments because I enjoy going over the comments, guys. See y'all later.